I got my passenger side lower control arm in. I still need to tighten everything down. I did put the bolts back to front on this one as well. I am going to have to enlarge my opening in the front a little bit to be able to get a 21 millimeter socket in, or 24 millimeter socket in instead of the 21 I had. Although my 21 was a impact socket, so it's a little bit thicker wall, and my 24 is a chrome socket, so it's a little bit thinner wall for its size, but I'm going to have to open that up a little bit. So that's my goal for the night, is going to be opening up that control arm pocket. Getting too old for this up and down stuff, but anyways, my weapon of choice tonight is going to be, I've got some carbide grinding bits, so I'm probably going to start with one of these two and see what we get with. I'm just going to stick it on my drill and go to town on it. So it's they're actually designed for cutting, you know, actually cutting metal like this. So although I should say cutting metal, cutting steel. They're not, carbide bits are not for cutting aluminum, because aluminum will chunk up and ruin the bit, and steel will just kind of flake. So anyways, that's my weapon of choice, and get back on the ground and get after it. If you saw, it wasn't just about getting the socket into the hole. I actually needed to be able to get a straight enough shot at the nut part of it, so I had to do a little bit more to get a decent shot at it, and I think we're there now. So onto the driver's side next. Normally I would tell you that you should tighten the lower control arm or any control arm bushing with the weight on the vehicle. So do as I say, not as I do. But in this case, I've already essentially measured my ride height out. So I'm just going to use a floor jack underneath the control arm to get my desired ride height set, which I showed you the other night, based off of my 19 inches off the ground. It puts my top of my squeezed ball joint, you know, somewhere in that ballpark range. I feel fairly confident with this height that I'm going to be in the ballpark, and then if I end up measuring once I get the coilovers in and something's way different, then I can pull it back apart and retighten it, but should be in pretty good shape overall. Plus these are poly bushings, so they're a little bit less sensitive because they're already a two-piece design. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing torqued down, and that means I can put my rack bolts back in that are blocking the control arms in the front, so I can finally at least feel like I'm starting to go back together with it. I still need to order more parts and figure out exactly what I'm going to order, but it'll at least feel like I'm making progress. So that's what's happening right now. We're going to torque this thing down. So this is probably the best angle I got, but if you look down the length of the bushing here, you can see my socket's kind of at a downhill direction. So I don't have a perfect straight bite on the nut for the lower control arm, but I have enough for me to actually get a straight bite. I'd have to like really get deep into cutting off my steering support, which is kind of counterintuitive. So this will work. I'm gonna get this side is actually torqued down now, so as long as I can get a decent enough straight shot on the front, on the passenger side, we'll be in really good shape. But for now, I'll go ahead and get the lower control arm laid down for the back here, and then we'll move over to the other side. I made it through the driver's side and was getting ready to start putting some real struggle torque on the front on the passenger side, and I found the structural limit of my ratchet. So it sheared the head clean off of it. See if I can get that to focus a little better. There you go. And there's my socket. As you can see, it's sheared on the weakest part where the detent is for the holding the socket in place, and sheared right across the middle of that. Kind of about what you would expect, but boy, when it let go, golly, man, I was just, of course, I'm laying on the ground in a weird angle, but I'm pulling on it, and did some pretty cool damage to the bottom of the back of my arm back there, and it started tingling like when you hit your funny bone, because it was, you know, right there on the, just above my elbow. Not a great spot to hit, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna have to get that warrantied out. Luckily Snap-on's really nice about warranty, so tell them I broke the ratchet and I need a new one. So we'll I'll see if I want to do a reducer and maybe step it up to 1/2-inch drive, but I really need a chrome socket to be able to get in there, and I don't think I have a chrome 1/2-inch 24. Anyways, I'll figure it out. I'll let you know whenever I actually get to that point, but that means we're done for the night. Well, after I hurt myself last night, my arm is still really tender. I'm sure it doesn't show up very well, but it's still really tender and has probably a little bit of bruising. And anyways, decided on bringing the 1/2-inch torque wrench home, and I looked up the torque specs, and torque spec on that lower control arm is 121 to 148 foot-pounds. So I set the torque wrench to 150 because I'd rather be, you know, hair over. And I went back and checked the driver's side, which I had already torqued, and then I checked the passenger side one that I broke. And anyways, I'm glad to have actually been torquing this thing down for real now and get a real reading on it. So it's not the most glamorous way to torque it down underneath the truck, because I have a floor jack to hold up one side on the bolt side, and then I'm torquing on the nut side. But anyways, I'll show you what that looks like here. And then we'll get everything moved around, and we'll hop in and torque that front one, or the rear one on the passenger side is the last one. All right, so I got my floor jack holding up on the ratchet, which is on the bolt side, and then I will put my torque wrench on the lower control arm on the nut side. Go ahead and make sure that's run down as far as we can. I'll grab the tool. So I got it run down, snugged up, and then I'll get my big boy torque wrench in here. Almost there. All right. So there you have it, torque down. Now I can do my steering rack bolts and be one step closer. Well, I'm beat. Those steering rack bolts are a motherfucker to tighten. They are just awkward angles, and you just can't really get to anywhere to tighten them. And I have no idea what torque spec is on it, because I'm, the only one in the world that's done this, or the first in the world to have done this in this way. So I torque mine to 175, and I'm torquing from the bolt side, so it's a little bit less effective than if you're torquing from the nut side. But there's not enough room to get in there on the nut, because it's right up against the bottom of the oil pan. But anywho, so that's done. I'm gonna take a couple more measurements while I'm out here, and see what the next step's gonna be, which is gonna be ordering the coilovers, which means I need to do more research. So, done out in the garage, gone as far as I can go without ordering more parts. So I'm at that point. Still waiting on the uppers, but at the point right now where I'm going to be ordering the coilovers. I'm really happy with the progress I have, but smash that like button, and hit that subscribe button as well if you haven't already. I would appreciate that if you want to see more of my content in the future, and I will catch y'all on the next one.